So, welcome. I hope you're doing really well. Today's topic that has been on my mind for quite some time, and it's so prevalent, I believe nowadays, more than ever, which is this piece around for companies to understand what it really means to create meaning and direction in cultures within, in particular, small, medium enterprises, but also it starts with startups, small, medium businesses, and goes all the way down to, up to the enterprise level, right? Culture. The world has shifted, right? When we look at baby boomers, for example, that have more so a mindset of getting things done, right? Really working hard and putting fires to the metal, so to speak, to getting things done. Some other generation, Gen Z, for example, they need much more meaning and direction in their lives, right? In their professional careers. And if they don't have this clear career path, if they don't understand how their work meaningfully contributes to the larger vision of the company, they may not even know the larger vision of the company because it isn't clearly communicated by us as CEOs or CHROs or chief learning officers or whoever, founders, whoever we are, right? These people, in particular, the Gen Z generation, we know do not last and leave the company because of that lack of meaning and direction. And so I see that in so many companies, and I'm hearing that in so many conversations that I have with my podcast guests that are CEOs of small, medium enterprises, all the way up to 10,000 staff, sometimes all the way down to 200 staff. And it isn't really all that or as important for startups with cultures or with staff size, I would say below 100. But this is where the buck starts, right? Where we need to start thinking about, okay, how do we actually position culture truly in a way that gives our people what kind of intrinsically motivates them, right? And so today I want to talk in particular about the Gen Z generation and the loss of them in our companies, them leaving. In other words, we're talking about the erosion of culture by us really failing as leaders to communicate clearly the career path and the contribution that their work have in the larger context of what we are aiming for as a company, as an entity, right? So let me draw a few things down right now to illustrate the point I want to make, all right? And this just gives you a bit of a visual cue. What you know already, and I see a lot of CHROs focusing on the needs for Gen Z, but I want to again draw the attention and awareness to that there are different generations, right? That we, even in the hiring process, want to be very cognizant about and aware about who we have in front of us and understanding the different motivations. That baby boomers have very different motivations in terms of really are there to get the job done versus Gen Z needing much more this piece around meaning and direction in their lives and understanding how them contributing their energy and time into the company, how that actually is of surplus to them, right? Life has changed. So, if we imagine these dots representing Gen Z, right? It's just an arbitrary number here, right? But we have a certain amount of Gen Z, I guess, within the company. And then we speak about this piece around, let's call it meaning. Meaningful work, right? Now, I don't think that there is a need to define for you what it means to have meaning at work, right? It may mean something very different in your organization that it means what it may mean in a different organization. But I think this is the point where we want to be really clear about, for us as an organization, who we are, what we stand for, and kind of thinking about the different buckets, if you will, of different intrinsic motivations of people. Let's just bucket them into different generations, if you will, again, of what these intrinsic drivers are and what really the motivators are behind them working for us, right? And again, we need to take the financial aspect out of the equation and to really focus on beyond money, beyond us paying them a fair salary. What is in it for them? What do they really want to get out of it? And to be crystal clear about this for us as a company, to then have this level of clarity, have this trigger certain questions in the interview that filter out who we have in front of us, in a particular, how we match their expectations against what we can offer. So, I see a lot of companies that they have a lot of promises around career path and clarity and, promotions and all that. And then comes push to shove, for example, and none of which is being executed the way it was promised, right? And that is just not satisfactory to especially the Gen Z generation that really, they don't want to see ping pong tables, they don't want to see barristers, they want to see, that what we promise is being delivered on. Again, how does the work create meaning in their life? How does the work create them growing as a person? How does the work help them to figure out who they want to be as a professional or as a human being, right? And so the notion is that meaningful work really contributes in ways that have such, I think a lot of people don't understand the gravity of what that really, how powerful that is to really communicate how the company can create meaning in people's lives. Looking at post-COVID, for example, the world has shifted, right? We're not anymore satisfied with just making money. And I think COVID again has really accelerated this shift towards a world where I need to see what the output is here for me, right? And I want you to be really clear about this. And I'm talking right now as a Gen, whatever I am, right? It doesn't really matter. But as somebody who you may hire for this person, they ask themselves intellectually in their brain, how can you as an employer show me what I want? And a lot of times they don't know either what they want, right? So we as HR departments, we as CEOs, we as founders, we need to be really clear about, obviously, I don't tell you this, I'm just kind of reflecting on, I guess, what we know anyway, but we want to be really clear about who we have in front of us, what it is that they want to get out of it, right? And to communicate that. So how do we actually communicate the meaning that the work is offering to those stakeholders, to those people, right? And on the opposing side, we have a situation within a company where we really lose people, right? And we lose them because we are incapable to either satisfy the promise or the promises we have made, or we have mishired, or the person who wanted a job didn't understand what they really wanted, and they suddenly realize, okay, I want more meaning, and the company can't give it to me, and people leave. So what's the alignment like between what's in it for them and what we can offer as a company, question mark, right? But really, what I see happen in visual terms, right, is that people want meaning, they walk towards it, see they can't get it, and really kind of distance themselves emotionally from the company until they have silently left. And we don't want that to happen, right? And this is what happens, you know, if I talk about cultural erosion, or if I talk about inconsistencies in values alignment between staff and culture, super, super crucial. That's, you know, I see a lot of companies, you know, we are making time. I was sitting in a different podcast yesterday that will be, that will go live soon, where we talked about, you know, for the CEO to really making time for the entire team to rewrite certain values. And that is all great for us to collaboratively together as a team to come up with the values versus me as a CEO, or me sitting together with my CHRO, or me sitting together with my CMO to actually come up with these overarching pillars that we want people to align to from a behavioral standpoint, right? But it's a totally different ballpark in my understanding, us really understanding what are the buckets generationally within my company, what are their intrinsic needs, what are they after, and how can we satisfy this in alignment with the values that we have created so that they feel whatever they need to feel. Guys, it's not that people, you know, kind of course, money is the game, right? We need to pay bills. We all get that, right? But really, I think the question we need to ask ourselves more of is, what is the emotional kind of what's in it for me, for our staff, right? People, again, the very first principle is that people want to feel that they belong, that they want to feel valued, they want to feel loved. And some people express that, or some people have that need or satisfy this need of feeling belonging and loved and valued by us just telling them, hey, well done, you got your stuff done, right? Baby boomers, versus, hey, I value you and I appreciate you so much. I want to create clarity for you on your career path because I know that you want to create more meaning and direction in your life, and I want you to grow and learn by being with us, however long that may be, right? So we need to think about this, right? So that's it for today. I hope this little video was able to communicate or draw awareness or help you to remember that there are generational differences in terms of how people, staff feel valued, right? And really to think about first principle around what is the emotional kind of set point for what makes somebody feel that they belong, what makes somebody feel that they are cared for, loved, right? We all want to be loved, and that is just expressed in different ways. You know, me showing that I love them I know that's not necessarily a term that we want to use in a corporate setting, but it is the truth. It is what people want. They want to feel loved. And the way we do that is we listen attentively. We care genuinely. And we want the best for them. And this is about being intentional about our motives, right? I spoke in a different video about having this kind of seeing people as an end in itself. Watch that video. I'm not going to go into this right now, and not just as a means to an end, right? And so I hope the video enlightened you and helped you to remember about the importance of these aspects. And if you like the video, I would love you to leave a comment and to let us know, or let me know what, you see, maybe baby boomers need, what you see Gen Z need in terms of how they feel valued, how they feel a sense of belonging, and how they feel loved. Like the video if you did, subscribe. This will help us tremendously to continue putting out the videos for the algorithm to really promote the video, right? This is so important. I think it's such an important message, and I would love for you to share the video and subscribe so that this message goes out really with the ultimate game for us to communicate that business is much more than profitability, right? Business is about contributing to the greater good. It is for us to see business as a tool to be a force for good and to ultimately do good in the world. So take care. See you very soon.